Hi there, it's Annalise Wells here from birchwoodyoga.co.uk, and today I wanted to talk to you about breathing. When we're stressed, one of the first things that changes is our breathing. It tends to come up into the chest, become a little bit shallow, it may be quite shaky and juddery, and so I want to teach you a couple of ways in which you can smooth out your breath. You can bring it down into your belly, and that is going to have a little conversation with your nervous system to say, I'm feeling calm now. And you'll hopefully feel the response of that yourselves. So it's always useful to spend a little bit of time being curious about your breath. So perhaps you could put one hand on your belly and another hand on your chest and just really notice how you're breathing. Spend a moment or two with curiosity about your breath, not judging yourself, not berating yourself in any way, but simply noticing how your breath feels. Is it more in your chest or more in your belly? Is your inhalation longer than your exhalation? Is it the other way round, or are they about the same length? And what's the quality of your breath? Is it a little bit shaky and juddery? Is it smooth? Is it perhaps a mixture? So let's try and bring the breath down to help us feel more calm. And firstly, I want to give you a couple of options with regards to making sound. Sound really helps us to push the breath down and engage the diaphragm. Rather than when we're stressed, we'll often use these accessory muscles up here, the shoulders, the neck, and it creates a lot of tension in the body. So if you inhale through your nose, when you exhale, make a F sound. And just repeat that a number of times while I speak to you, because I'd also like you to play with an S sound, which I'm not going to do because it doesn't sound very nice on a microphone. So play with the F and the S. And when you've decided which one you prefer, stick to that. And then what we're going to do is try and make that sound consistent from the beginning to end. So you might find at the moment that you're kind of going or and it's dying off quickly. And there's not a consistency to the sound, to the energy, to the sort of pace, to the flow of air, basically. So try and make the flow of air consistent, the volume consistent, the energy and pace. And it'll just die off a little bit at the end. And as you continue to do that, notice what your inhalation's like afterwards. Do you suddenly gasp for the air? Do you pull it in and use those accessory muscles? If you can, give yourself permission to breathe in slowly. And keep trying to do that over and over again. You may find that from time to time you just have to pull the breath in because you're so used to doing it that your body wants you to, and it feels really uncomfortable. You might feel tight in your chest or your solar plexus or your throat if you don't suddenly get that air in. So that's okay, just listen to your body. Let the air come in, and then when you can, go back to the smooth flow of air and just inviting the inhalation to come in slowly. So I hope that what you're noticing is that as you continue with this F sound, that the breath gets pushed right down into your lowest part of your belly. So that when you breathe in, you can then relax your belly and let the breath come in. You can expand the ribs and let the breath come in. And the chest might rise up slightly and you can let the breath come in. So I wanted to talk about this particularly at this time. It's the first week really for the UK, full week of coronavirus. And of course, a lot of us are going to get the virus, and the best thing we can do is stay healthy and keep our lungs healthy. And there's no way of saying that this is going to prevent you from getting the fibrosis or that this is going to prevent damage to the lungs. It really depends on underlying conditions. But hey, we can do our best to improve the health of our lungs, and there's no better way of doing that than through exercise, but also through breathing practices, and making sure that you constantly pay attention to your breath and you're really listening to, oh, hang on a minute, it's come up to the chest, I need to do something about that. Let's get the breath down. So the next thing I'm going to teach you is Ujjayi breathing. Many of you will be familiar with this if you do yoga, but it's not always easy, so the sound quite often, that F or S sound quite often helps you just to push the breath down into the belly. So stick with that if you have any trouble following the instructions for Ujjayi. Ujjayi means victorious breath, and it's quite a warming breath, but again, it's really helpful for the nervous system. And so you're not only improving the condition of your lungs by breathing more fully and deeply, but it's really putting the brake on our heart, it's putting the brake on our organs. When we're stressed, that we stop doing certain things, like we don't need to reproduce, so we sometimes have difficulties with that. We don't need to digest, so we get IBS and digestive conditions. We might have constantly dilated pupils because we look startled all the time. We might sweat more than normal. The usual things that come when we are being approached by a tiger and we need to run away. And of course that's not what's happening. We're being approached by a virus and we're all very uncertain, and we need to just do our best to stay calm. So, Ujjayi breathing. Again, breathing in through the nose. This time when you breathe out, make a sound like you're trying to huff up a piece of glass that you can wipe down. I'll repeat it a few times because it's much harder for some people to get. And again, you're looking for the consistent flow of air. So the sound, the pressure, the energy and pace of your breath is consistent from start to finish. When you've got that, the next thing we're going to do is to try and close the mouth halfway along the breath so that you still hear the sound. You could probably hear from me that it's quite a throaty sound. It almost feels like you're trying to push it out of this notch, this space at the base of your throat. So it may be something like this. If you struggle with that, just go back to making the sound, either the F, the S, or the and keep trying, keep watching the video, come back and give it another go. If you've got that, the next thing is to have the mouth closed all the time. So you're just making that oceanic sound. It really is like the waves washing up and down pebbles on a beach. Some people say it's like Darth Vader. So you're inhaling and exhaling through the nose, but as if you're just trying to push the air right down to the base of the throat. And I don't know if you can really see what's happening in my belly, but hopefully you can see that it's relaxing and inflating as I breathe in and pulling back towards the spine as I breathe out. So what you're doing technically is restricting the airflow by slightly tightening two little muscles called the glottis, either side of your voice box. And know that if I said to you, I want you to just tighten your glottis muscles, you wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about, most likely, unless you've studied anatomy. But using that way of breathing, that's what you are technically doing. And so it slows the flow of air, giving your body more time to expel air from your lungs, therefore getting rid of toxins. It means that your lungs are more empty so that you can fill them up more. And when you breathe deeply in this way, the base of the lungs is where you have the most alveoli. The alveoli are what absorb the most oxygen. So if you're only ever shallow breathing, you're only ever filling the top third of your lungs. So we want to get the breath down into the belly to really fill the base of the lungs and saturate the body with fresh oxygen. So, put your head out the window and do it if you feel you need to just get some fresh air. So I hope you find that helpful. And I just want to say that if you have very low blood pressure, or if you have been shallow breathing for a long time, you might find you get really dizzy, lightheaded when you do this Ujjayi breathing. And there's a good reason for that. It's because your brain's suddenly getting much more oxygen to the brain. You're getting more oxygen to the brain than you've been used to. And so it just makes you a bit lightheaded. Don't worry, it's absolutely fine. Pause is all I can say. Just pause, go back to normal breathing, and then try it again. So over time, once your breath improves, if you keep practicing, your breathing is going to become much healthier and you won't get lightheaded. And this is a wonderful practice that I'm going to be using throughout all the yoga sequences that I'm putting on the video. So practice, 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 and I'll be back with you very soon. Thank you very much.